Hey everybody, and this one is going to be kind of special because I'm actually going through all of our footage from when we went to Crystal River and swam with manatees. That was a couple years ago, but it's just too cool to not put into a video, so I thought it was fitting to show you this conglomerate of fossil scallops that I found while we were there. So we went out with River Adventures, which does tours through Crystal River where you can go diving and get some very, very cool opportunities to swim with manatees. And it was totally a crazy experience. It was awesome, and let's just jump right in. Alright, so haven't even gotten off the boat yet. I'm still on the ladder, and they tell me not to get in yet, and I turn around and see that there's already a manatee, like, directly behind me, which is awesome, because we were concerned about actually getting lucky to run into them. You can see off in the distance, there was actually a mom and a baby that were hanging out around the boat. And I believe this one's the baby right here. Yeah, the mom had a big barnacle on her side, so we could actually tell them apart. And it's hard to believe that that thing is a baby, because it was the same size, if not bigger than I was. Just huge. That's the mom right there. You can see the barnacle on the side. And it's so funny when you first get in the water, you basically have to reteach yourself how to swim. You can actually see the guide right there doing it properly. You have to lock your legs in position and maneuver entirely with your hands, because if any radical movement will scare them off. So the first 5-10 minutes you get out of the boat, you're basically relearning how to swim the proper way, because if you swim the way you normally would, you'd scare everything off. I'm trying to fumble my way over to get a better shot right now. Actually, you can see the baby right there playing with the line off of the anchor. We're actually under the boat right now. Oh, here's the baby came over to look at me. I figured if I stopped moving, he'd come take a look. So cool. And you're not actually supposed to touch them, so when they get that close to you, you just kind of have to freeze. Kind of at their mercy at that point. Oh, this part is awesome. You can see the guide is actually pushing water onto the baby's face, and he's flipped on his back, just loving it. You can see how friendly and people-tame they are in this area, because that baby is literally touching the guide right now. And obviously they feel pretty safe, because the mom isn't doing anything about it. Super playful little guy. He kept getting just right up next to us. Big old whiskers. Such a playful little thing. Well, I say little, but the thing was probably like 6 feet long. Love all the algae growing on its back. There again, it goes underneath me, and I just have to kind of freeze in place. This little guy hung out with us for probably the better part of an hour. Just hanging out. Oh, they actually can use their flippers like hands, so you can see he's scratching his armpit right now. Yeah, he was just awesome. Pretty much fearless, that little one. I also... Oh, never mind. Yep, still scratching. Yeah, he was just cool. Also, apologize if it's a little bit shaky. That water was absolutely freezing. Big belly. yeah, it just kept coming up to us and doing barrel rolls right next to us, so you pretty much just have to freeze so you don't get in its way. But it's kind of hard when the baby keeps coming straight up to you. There's not a whole lot you can do in that situation. I believe this is the mom right here. Yeah, there was, yep, you could see the barnacle. So the river that we were in is actually right, it runs through a big residential area, so there's a big concrete wall, and as you'll see in a minute, the manatees actually hoist themselves right onto the edge of it so that they can lean up and eat the grass off of the people's lawn. I can't even imagine looking out your back window and seeing that in your backyard. Yeah, you can kind of get an idea of how much bigger that one is. Yeah, there he is on or she is on the wall. They were so inquisitive that the moment they notice you next to them, they just immediately turn over and, oh, hi, what are you doing? Giant back sticking out of the water. And the mom was very interested in all of the... Apparently they had just recently done some yard work, because the mom kept going up to that sidewall and pulling leaves and branches down for her to eat. And it's so funny, they're such massive animals that whenever they move, they actually push you around, so it was kind of a battle to stay in one spot long enough to get good shots. Because the next thing you know, you're drifting past it. But again, you only have your hands to maneuver, so it takes some time to get used to it. Big rubbery lips. Yeah, and I don't know if the camera shows it accurately, but that mom was gigantic. The baby seemed tiny, even being 6 foot long, it was still just tiny next to mom. There you can see it, she's hoisting herself back up again. I get a little bit closer here in a minute, but at this point I'm still just trying to... She was moving around so much I wasn't sure where to to try to go, because there were a few times I started moving in one direction and the next thing I know she's right next to me. Yeah, they were just loving that fresh grass though. Yeah, right here. Had to react quickly because she almost lifted me up out of the water right there. It's so funny that they tell you to stay away and try not to get too close, but there's not a whole lot you can do when they just come right up to you like that. Yeah, they were beyond cool. Just massive. Yeah, again, there she is, getting right underneath me, so I'm trying to back up as fast as I can. The video, oh yeah, there she is eating all the leaves. Those big rubbery lips. Again, the video makes it look like we keep going up to her, but she kept moving around so much that we would try staying still in one spot, and the next thing we know she's literally inches from us. She wanted to hang out. This whole time the baby was playing with the anchor line. My girlfriend got some good footage of that, but I feel like this video is probably going to get pretty long anyway, so I'll have to include that somewhere else. Just loving that grass. Yeah, that is what they would be seeing from their back window. Just that big wrinkly elephant-like face and the rubbery lips. Which, You know, being a Montana person, that would be awesome to see in your backyard. I can't even imagine. Yeah, she was just loving all that, all the branches with the leaves and the moss on it. You can really see when they're eating that they're actually pretty closely related to the pachyderms, elephants. Because if you look at their flippers, I don't know if you just saw that, but you can actually see that they have nails just kind of the same way that elephants do. And those lips kind of act like a trunk. There she was, just ripping that branch out. Oh, it's right here. She came underneath me and then started surfacing and literally lifted me out of the water for a minute there. But again, like they tell you, in those situations, the worst thing you can do is spook it, so you kind of just have to sit there and wait for it to leave. Because if you try to swim out of its way, you'll freak it out, and, you know, an animal that large, that tail can do some damage. Not that they would ever do it intentionally. Here she does it again. Just fearless. Though when you're that big and in freshwater, there's not really much for them to have to fear. Yeah, it was just one awesome experience. Yeah, she pretty much cleared out all of that brush that was in there, right along the water's edge. Just hilarious. There you can see I'm actually drifting closer to her because she's waving her tail so much that it actually created a current that was pretty much sucking me in. And I looked at the guide for a suggestion as to what I should do, and he just told me to stay still. So after that, they took us over to where a natural spring feeds in to the river, and we got in and started looking, and there were just gigantic snook hanging out under one of the boat launches that was in that area. And I mean, it doesn't do it justice, but these things were easily about 3 feet long, just massive. You can see I'm shaking like crazy because the water being right on top of that spring was just freezing cold. I get a little more acclimated to it in just a little bit, so I stopped shaking right after this, but it's, yeah. And massive, just enormous school of about 1,000 mullet. And the video makes it a little deceiving, but each one of those mullet is about 2 feet long. Now our guide went down to the bottom and found this blue crab to show us. And this is a really cool plant. I can't remember if it's called parrot moss or feather moss, but I'm sad that I couldn't get a better shot of it. And then our guide went off and comes back, and he's just holding this tiny little baby musk turtle. He was cool. Awesome little turtle. Just swam off. That pumpkin seed, or not pumpkin seed, but bluegill right there is just massive. I couldn't believe the size of the fish. Now here we're coming up on the actual spring, and you can see where the soil is bubbling right there. Well, that was weird. The soil is bubbling right there. That's actually where the water is coming up through the ground, and like you just saw, you can go down and put your hand into it, and because it's coming through the soil so uniformly, it's almost like the soil's not there. Your hand just goes straight through it. And here's just a cool shot of the light. I just liked that, so I took a little video of it. Again, I can't not stress enough how freezing cold that water was. Okay, this is hilarious. There was a gigantic manatee that was sleeping And I had heard that they do something kind of funny when they sleep, so we hung out for a little bit to wait for it to come up for air so we could catch it. And manatees do this thing where they'll sleep for about 5-10 minutes, and then they come up, get a breath, go back down, get another breath. Here you can see it's coming up right now. So they get one breath, and then they'll go back down, kind of just suck in that breath a little bit, and then they'll go back up and get another breath, like this right here. Oh, if it does it, yeah, there we go. Get another breath, and then they literally just drop to the bottom like a sack of potatoes. It is the funniest thing. Like, you can just see the moment they get that second breath, they just go limp. You can see that cloud of the soil from its face literally just plummeting. It is the funniest thing to watch, because they're actually extremely graceful when you're in the water swimming with them, but seeing them just drop like a sack of potatoes is just hilarious. Yeah, we're waiting for it to come up for another breath. There it is. That nose sticking up out of the water. You can see all that cloud coming off of its face is actually soil, because its face is pretty much buried in the bottom of the the river. And then it comes up again and just drops. Little school of finger mullet swimming past. Then we got called back to the boat at this point, and yep, just faceplant. We got called back to the boat at this point because our time was up, but it was really cool because on our way to the boat, the mom and baby from earlier actually came right back up to us again, which was really cool to end the day the way it started. Alrighty, well, that's going to do it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you want to have this experience for yourself, definitely check out River Adventures in Crystal River, sorry, Florida. It was one incredible experience that was definitely a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing, and I'd highly recommend it to anyone that has the opportunity to do it, to definitely jump on that. Another note would be definitely plan your trip during the winter, because the manatees come into the freshwater during the cold months. So yeah, optimize it for November to, I don't know, February. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. I'll have my links to social media in the description, and yeah, see you next week.